The year is almost over, and the Nintendo Switch has a number of 2,762 games out this year. Thanks to over 96,000 user scores and 4,000 critic reviews, What to Play presents 10 of the best Nintendo Switch games this year, all arranged by PlayScore. To check out our full list, visit our website at whatoplay.com. Link in the description box below. This video is sponsored by Gold Inc., a free-to-play gold mining game that lets you earn real-life money right from your mobile phone. More about them later in the video.
Undo my greatest failure!
He means you, Crash.
Opening at 10th place is Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time. The return of Crash and the boys only took almost a year to get ported to the Nintendo Switch consoles. But this entry doesn't feel constrained to the modern demands of gaming. It still retains its platforming roots, offering interesting level designs and sometimes frustrating platformer moments. The gamer gave it a strong score of 8, saying, quote, "It holds up very well on Nintendo's system and springs a few surprises with how well it handles everything," unquote. While it's certainly not the freshest game on this list, this third-party entry into the Nintendo system was a huge step for the console. A play score of 8.75. Ninth in our ranking is The Legend of Zelda: Skyward Sword HD. This remastered version of the Wii U classic touched up a few things that once plagued the original. Skyward Sword HD really put the Switch to the test with its new control modes. The option to switch between motion and button controls has been a welcome treat. It has its fair share of problems, but it makes up for many of them in moments of true brilliance and defiance against established series conventions, said Games Radar, who gave it a score of 8. It's still a Zelda game, and that's an achievement in itself. A play score of 8.76. Placed at 8th is Overcooked: All You Can Eat. The cooking bonanza gets even crazier in this all-in-one edition of all things Overcooked. Chaos ensues in this package that includes the 2 Overcooked titles and their many DLCs. The Switch version has been ideal for home parties. Hand over those extra Joy-Cons, and you'll get a jam-packed room full of screaming people and exploding laughter. You'll get your money's worth here, according to the Nintendo World Report, who said, quote, "The added accessibility options are a much appreciated addition, and they make the package an even more inclusive party game for everyone," unquote. It's the definitive edition of this culinary co-op game, and it receives a play score of 8.78. Coming in at 7th is Mario Party Superstars. If you enjoy games like Overcooked, Nintendo's premier party game also has a ton of surprises up its sleeve. Mario Party Superstars is a collection of all the major party modes from its Nintendo 64 version. Among the Switch's crop of multiplayer games, Superstars still stands out. GameSkitty calls it among the best on the platform in their review. 100 minigames is enough to keep the family party going. The mere enjoyment of its multiple game boards offer hours and hours of fun. A play score of 8.78. Sixth spot belongs to Little Nightmares 2. The nightmare continues in this horror platformer from Tarsier Studios. What it lacks in freshness, it makes up for its impressive world building. The world of Little Nightmares 2 is brimming with an atmosphere that feels like a character of its own. Mono's adventures throughout this terrifying new world are memorable. The Switch version offers no difference from the rest of the ports, but it adds a lot with its portability, letting you take the horror with you wherever you go. It receives a play score of 8.78. Before the next game on our list, we're taking a moment to talk about this video's sponsor, Gold Inc. If you're a fan of making a few bucks from your game playing hours, then look no further. There's some real-life gold in them there hills.
Yeah, boy.
Not only is Gold Inc. a play-to-earn game, but it's also free to play. All you have to do is build your own gold mining empire from scratch. The journey won't be simple. Thankfully, you'll get $10 million in cash to work with. Use this to get the equipment to jumpstart your business and to set up defenses to protect yourselves from your cutthroat competitors. There won't be a gold rush all the time though. Some days it's just gonna be ores, but not to worry. You can sell these to buy more fuel to keep your digging days going. And when you do hit the jackpot, you can turn it into real-life riches by converting everything to their gold-backed cryptocurrency, the GXB, available on the Apollo wallet. As with anything NFT, it's much better if you get in early. It's only going to get more competitive from here on out. Get a head start by downloading it for free using the links in our description box. Don't forget to use our code 414-525-46 upon signing up. Fifth place is Neo: The World Ends With You. Tetsuya Nomura's fine creation gets the sequel it deserves, 14 years later. Neo continues the Shibuya scrambles with a set of new characters and a fascinating new direction to its story. The Reaper's game is still around, and the removal of the touch controls that hindered the original's momentum made Neo more accessible to new fans. Now the real-time combat is more fluid without the need to drag your fingers around the screen. EGM now gave it a perfect score, praising its likable characters and complex story. Quote, "This long-awaited sequel has a lot to offer fans of action RPGs and the cult classic series alike." The music and art were major aspects of the original, and Neo doesn't disappoint. Unfortunately, it hasn't gotten enough sales for Square to break even. Still, there's plenty of reason to support this game, especially with its play score of 8.81. Fourth in the ranking is the great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Capcom's visual novel franchise never really made it to the West back then. After the success of the Ace Attorney trilogy, Shu Takumi knows that everyone's been craving for more courtroom drama. The great Ace Attorney Chronicles may take place years before the original, but it felt like its own entry nonetheless. It follows the ancestor of our favorite spiky-haired lawyer as he shakes the foundations of the late Victorian legal system. It's a stellar duology containing two tightly packed entries of Naruhodo's journey. Quote, "It's nice to finally have these games in the West, as both a great onboarding point for newcomers and a nice treat for Ace Attorney fans," unquote. No objections. It receives a play score of 9.11. Up at third is Monster Hunter Rise. Nintendo is grateful for the resurgence of Capcom and its slew of impressive titles these past few years. Rise's compact yet complex Monster Hunter experience is built for the Nintendo Switch system. The addition of the wire bug adds a new movement feature that makes hunting down these monsters more mechanical. It's easily the most accessible MH game to date. The fresh selection of monsters is fascinating as well, and the huge focus on Japanese yokai and mythology remains consistent throughout the game. Nintendo Insider gave this a score of 9, noting, quote, 17 years on and there still isn't a gameplay experience that can deliver such tremendously heroic thrills at the same level as this, unquote. A massive expansion and a PC port is coming out next year, so it's gonna be huge for MH fans. A play score of 9.16.
Treat our lost assets with care, lady.
Entering the atmosphere in T-10. 3, 2, 1.
Coming up at second is Metroid Dread. Samus' latest adventure is the series' strongest yet. Metroid Dread is in no way a casual platformer. Dread's labyrinthine level designs and tight controls can be intimidating to new players, but once you get the hang of it, it can leave you rummaging around its derelict planet with ease. It doesn't hold your hands, making sure that you get lost in its world. That's especially with the addition of the Yummy sequences. GameSpot may have noted that Dread sticks closely to the formula of its predecessors, but that's not a bad thing. For them, it also feels like going back to a place of comfort after a long time away. For an already successful franchise that has shaped video games forever, it's a solid return. The only thing to do now is to wait for Metroid Prime 4. A play score of 9.16. And the best Nintendo Switch game this year is Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Mario takes the crown on our year-end list for the Nintendo Switch. This re-release is a celebration of all the great things the series has to offer, especially with the addition of its special campaign. quirky, creative, and constant good fun, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury blends Mario gameplay old and new with great success, Games Radar said with a score of 9. This theme park-like adventure brought more content to the already packed Wii U original, and everything that made the Super Mario 3D experience great. With Bowser's Fury, expect more to sink your teeth into. A play score of 9.34.